Oh my goodness, here we go again. Man. All right. So you might have heard some semantics on my part just a minute ago, but welcome to the JP8 report, episode 350, amid technical difficulties again. All right, there I am live. Dude, I don't know what to tell y'all. I hit start stream and nothing happened. And it wasn't the start stream on my OBS, it was start stream on Rumble Studio, and nothing happened. And I got a oops, something went wrong, try again later. That's when I said, oh no, not again. And then I said, why not? I hit refresh and it showed I was live. So, I win again. Thank you guys for tuning in today to the computer almost illiterate James Pierce, because I try my best. All right. So welcome to the JPA report. Please, if you're not already a follower of the JPA report, click that follow button and then give us a like. That thumbs up button, like President Trump, a thumbs up. And then also with the chat, we have the live chat. It's active. We got Retired Rob in there. He's one of my good friends, a hall monitor. And then I got my other buddy, Richard. He might be coming in pretty soon. You'll see Code for Life. That's him. So welcome. And then also we have the Rumble wallet. So if you feel the desire to help reward my very hard working efforts with my podcast, you can give me a tip if you want. All right. So right when I was walking in, I was turning the volume down on my TV in the living room, and I could hear through the walls, right? And then I was distracted. Oh yeah. So did y'all know for America 250, because we're about to do the America 250 for tomorrow, because I did 13 March this morning. I'm doing 14 March this afternoon because tomorrow's Saturday. We are burying a national time capsule on the 4th of July, I think, but it's going to be not opened until 2276. I think that's what they said. I was on the TV. Well, it was on outnumbered. So it's like, is that 150 years? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it's 150 years from now. So, wow. All right. So they didn't ask me for anything to put in it. Maybe I'll have to make my own time capsule. All right. So America 250. Here we go. Letter from George Washington to Jonathan Trumbull Sr. For the 14th of March, 1776. Sir, remember this is from George Washington. Sir, since I did myself the honor to write you last, the enemy has embarked their troops on board a number of transports and are now making a shameful retreat from Boston. Okay, let me do that again, because that was an awesome sentence. Since I did myself the honor to write you last, the enemy have embarked their troops on board a number of transports and are now making a shameful retreat from Boston. Various are the conjectures of the destination, though most agree it is either Halifax or New York. The latter place seems by much the most probable, be that it may. New York is a post of infinite importance both to them and us, and much depends on priority of possession. I therefore entreat you, sir, immediately to throw 2,000 men into that city and the frontiers of Connecticut to maintain the peace till I can arrive there with the army under my command. The Rifle Regiment will march this day Tomorrow, a brigade will follow and be succeeded by others as quick as possible. You are sensible, sir, of the great importance of a strenuous exertion at this crucial period, a period which may, in its consequences, determine the fate of America. Zeal and activity heretofore shall be the good people of your government in defense of the liberties of America. Leaves me no room to doubt their readiness on this present occasion. I have the honor to be most respectfully, sir, your obedient, humble servant, General George Washington. 14 March 1776. Awesome letter. All right. Man, if letters like that don't make you proud to be an American, I don't know what will. That was really, really cool. All right. What a good way to start the day off, because I know and you know we have bad news, and it's always, I mean, we're going into the weekend. Let's hope this is a quiet weekend, okay? A quick update, if you haven't known about my guys that I showcase on here from the Dalmatian Tech Burger Group. They're my smash burger guys. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and show them. There we go. The Dalmatian. They're the smash burgers and dogs right here in Copper's Cove, Texas. All their burgers are homemade and their ingredients are fresh, including their buns. And they're located on the west side of Copper's Cove. And but they're closed right now for 1 to 2 months due to one of the owners having a medical emergency. So keep them in your prayers. And let me see, I'm getting my page ready. All right. Yeah, so it'll be 1 to 2 months. One of them had surgery. He's out of ICU. Hopefully he's home by now. That'd be great. All right. So that was the Dalmatian. Iran update. Okay. The Iran update is Operation Epic Fury. I just heard this a few minutes ago. The UAE, their financial district, was under attack by Iranian drones. Trump said the spiritual leader is probably alive. The Sec War said he's probably wounded and disfigured. That's why he doesn't want to be seen. And he doesn't have any command and control because they have no Air Force, no Army, a partial Fourth World Army, and no Navy, right? And they're running out of missiles. We've already struck over 6,000 targets. We've sunk 60 ships. And if it looks like a mine-laying ship, it's going to the bottom of the Persian Gulf. All right? The United Kingdom is considering escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz. The Israeli Defense Forces have said that they've downed over 250 drones and numerous missiles that have come their way. They've killed several senior Iranian nuclear scientists. Another one from the United Arab Emirates. They have downed over 1,500 drones and 278 ballistic missiles. I said this morning on the morning brief. If there was ever a need to resupply your air defense needs, I would be putting an Amazon Prime order in right now to get those delivered tomorrow, because that is a lot of rounds fire down range. You can only have so much in storage. That's a lot. I can't believe I said Amazon Prime. The Iraqi Defense Forces continue their massive attack on Hezbollah to eliminate permanently the threat from southern Lebanon, and Hezbollah is getting no support from the president of Lebanon. They just want them gone. You know what? If you didn't know, and Rob may know because he's old, that's my buddy. It's on the chat right now. Lebanon used to be like the Las Vegas of the Mediterranean, right? and it was a beautiful, beautiful city until the Islamic revolution in Iran, and they decided to support Hezbollah, and Hezbollah attempted to overthrow Lebanon, in which they did to a point until the Israelis invaded in 1982, and it's never been the same since. Maybe this is their chance to actually recover themselves and modernize and be part of the civilized countries of the world, right? I'm not saying they can't be Muslim and be civilized. They just need to be civilized. Give those people and their kids and their grandkids a chance to survive and live to a ripe old age and enjoy themselves and the neighbors around them, Turkey, Syria, and Israel, right? We all deserve to live in peace. Um, so, and that being said, the CENTCOM commander, no, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I think it was one of the two, either Admiral Cooper or General Kane said Iran is the number one threat to peace and stability in the Middle East. And then right when I was coming in there, I saw the Dow was 133 points up early this morning, and I have oil at $92.11, but I think it went up a little bit for a barrel, and that's through West Texas Intermediate. All right, so that is the Iran update um, for this afternoon, and then so we have two other things that happened. We had a terrorist act that happened in Michigan and a terrorist act that happened in Virginia. All right. So in Michigan, a guy, a Lebanese U.S. citizen, he came to the United States in 2011, and this is crooked. Okay, he came to the United States in 2011 under a visa that allowed him to come here because he married a U.S. citizen, right? And in 2016, he became um, a U.S. citizen. He came to the United States in 2011 on an immigrant visa, and he became a U.S. citizen in 2016. Um, and then, because he's married to a U.S. citizen, right? Um, he's 41 years old, and he did his act. What he did, he drove a pickup truck laden with explosives into the. Did I write it down? The synagogue Temple Israel, which used to be in Dearborn, Michigan, and or Detroit, Michigan, and it moved to West Bloomfield, I think it was, in 1980. But he drove his truck into the synagogue, and it was he hit a security guard, and then he exited the vehicle, and he was engaged and shot, and the truck caught fire, and then the building caught fire. And the good news out of all this is, one, none of the staff and none of the kids were injured at all, and two, they had just went through what do you call it? When there's an active shooter scenarios through their company with the FBI, which is good. That is really good. So, this is from Fox News. The suspect, how old? Old. Yeah, you're old, man. I'm talking to Rob. You're only 20 years older than me. Okay, get over it. You're fine. The suspect in Thursday's he's gonna hammer me. The suspect in Thursday's attack that targeted a Jewish synagogue in Michigan has been primarily identified as 41-year-old Lebanese-born American citizen Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, according to three law enforcement sources who spoke on Fox News. He reportedly targeted the Jewish community as suffering family losses in Lebanon during the country's conflict with Israel. Dearborn Heights Mayor Mo Daydoun said that, adding that Ghazali was a resident of the city. Ghazali allegedly rammed a vehicle into the Temple Israel, a large Reformed Jewish synagogue in West Bloomfield at roughly 12:30 p.m. He exited the vehicle with a rifle and exchanged gunfire with armed security, who shot and killed him. The tragic attack on the Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield, Michigan, was carried out by Ayman Mohammed Ghazali. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed to Fox News. The mayor of Dearborn Heights, in a statement on social media, said the suspect reportedly lost several family members in an Israeli attack at their home in Lebanon, and that was from this month, right? Earlier today, we learned that an individual responsible for the incident that took place at Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloom was a resident of Dearborn Heights, and he died at the scene. Earlier this month, he lost several members of his own family, including his niece and nephew, in an Israeli attack on their home in Lebanon. Oh man, hold on. Okay. All right. So where was that? Let's see. Debut further condemned the attack and urged residents to stay aware and vigilant. He condemned the attack on that synagogue, and then he said, especially as we gather these sacred final days of Ramadan, because Ramadan ends on the 19th. All right. So, multiple law enforcement and federal law authorities said the suspect, who lived near Dearborn, entered the United States as a spouse of a U.S. citizen roughly 15 years ago. He subsequently granted citizenship 5 years later in 2016. He was born January 4th, 1985, and entered through the U.S. through Detroit on May 10th, 2011, as a spouse of a U.S. citizen. According to DHS, he reportedly held an IR-1 immigrant visa, a type of green card typically granted to couples married for at least 2 years at the time of the visa approval, which means it shows that they were married in 2009. And before his arrival, his partner filed 2 petitions December 2009 under a dual filing strategy, a fiancé petition and an alien relative petition, both of which were approved in April 2010. He then applied for naturalization on October 20th, 2015, and was granted U.S. citizenship February 5th, 2016, under the Obama administration. Local media, the Detroit News, added that Ghazali was a worker in Dearborn Heights. And let's see. That is all. 30 officers were taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation after entering the building in an update. And all the preschool children and staff at the temple were safely evacuated from the synagogue. So he got married in 2009. Him and his spouse filed 2 separate visas for him to get into the United States in 2011. And by 2015 to early 2016, he became a U.S. citizen. He went through all the classroom work, learned English and everything he all had to do, and became a U.S. citizen in 2016. What doesn't smell right about that whole situation? Because I can tell you, on my podcast several months ago, I went over the U.S. citizenship test that you have to pass. Now, believe it or not. It's easier to pass it than it was back then. So I would like to know, I would like someone to unseal his 15 years only. Yeah. Matter of fact, Rob, I'm talking to my buddy Rob, and he's going to chat it back to me. How long did it take your wife to become a U.S. citizen? He'll answer me. But he'll tell me, because I think it's more than 5 years, right? And she was around a U.S. citizen a lot longer than this guy was. So it goes to show what is at work in our country that's allowing people to become citizens so fast that we really don't know how vetted those people really are in our country. But wait, there's more. I'm waiting for an answer, Rob, when you get a chance. All right. Go ask Eva how long it was till she became a U.S. citizen. All right. Okay, we already read this one. I did some updates and stuff, and I got multiples of everything else. So this next one happened in Virginia. Okay, so ISIS supporting ex-National Guard member Mohammed Baylor Jailar shouted Allahu Akbar before launching his deadly attack at Old Dominion University yesterday, right? So what I wrote down before I read this, in Virginia, Mohammed Baylor Golar attacks an ROTC classroom at Old Dominion University. He was a naturalized U.S. citizen, here goes again, from Sierra Leone. He joined the Army National Guard and decided not to re-enlist because he's radicalized by ISIS. And in 2016, he professed loyalty to ISIS and wanted to emulate the Fort Hood massacre that happened in November 2009. And I can tell you that affects me. Oh, yep. Rob, hey Rob, now that you're back online, hey, how long did it take your wife to become a U.S. citizen? So I'm making it part of the podcast. But he wanted to reenact the Fort Hood massacre. Now, I was in the Army back then. Matter of fact, I was a platoon sergeant at 16th Signal Company, and I was in the 2nd platoon. I was their platoon sergeant, and over in the 1st platoon, yeah, I got you. It's part of Rob is feeding me breaking news. So in the 1st platoon of 16th Signal Company, we had Staff Sergeant Justin DeCrow, 25 Sierra. He was waiting for a waiver so he could go to Iraq with us because we were prepping to go to Iraq and Afghanistan. And he went a day early to get a waiver, a CENTCOM waiver, to be able to deploy with us. And while he was there is when that Muslim guy, I'm not mentioning the guy's name because he has no respect for me, but he went and killed 13 service members and wounded 32. This guy wanted to emulate the same type of massacre. So he pled guilty. He was sentenced to prison. He was sentenced to 11 years of prison and 5 years supervised release. And here we go again. In 2024, they released him early from prison without the supervised release. And less than a year and a half later, he barges into a classroom at Old Dominion University looking for the ROTC class and started shooting. Thank goodness. I'm going to show you the ramifications of that. Thank goodness some ROTC students in there were brave enough to jump the guy and one of them had a knife, and they stabbed him to death. All right. Um, so, um, so I'm going to show you that in just a second. But Rob just put on the live chat for me. I asked him how long did it take his wife to get her citizenship. The process took her 10 years. How did it take someone that barely entered into the United States to become a U.S. citizen in 5 years? I mean, matter of fact, it was less than 5 years. What hoops and hurdles did he jump over and successfully navigate to be able to become a U.S. citizen in less than 5 years? I don't buy it. It smells. A person legally, um, yeah. So he's saying because of my job, her entire family was vetted. And how do you vet a family that came from Lebanon? How was she? What was his spouse doing in Lebanon that she had the time to develop a relationship and get married and get him to the United States? I don't buy it. I don't agree with it. And the same thing goes for this guy that came from, where did he come from? Sierra Leone, right? Um, how did it happen? And in 2024, before the change of administration, he was released early. Like I was just saying, he was released early, and they didn't even enforce the 5 years of 5 years of supervised release. What smells in this entire situation that we keep getting Americans killed and almost potentially a large amount killed in Michigan? And the same thing would have happened in Old Dominion because they were saying, I believe the FBI agent was saying in her briefing yesterday, that if those ROTC students would not have acted the way they did, a lot more people would have been killed. But as someone, okay, so what they said was yesterday. She said he was terminated, and there was another thing that she said that he's no longer able to live or something like that. It was hilarious, but we all got the point. We all got the point. Uh, so what are we doing? We're already 12:28. Wow. So the ROTC instructor that died his name was Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw. Okay, he was a professor of military science and the leader of the university's ROTC program. He was a veteran of OIF, OEF, and Atlantic Resolve. Atlantic Resolve is the response with the rotations of units across Eastern Europe, with Poland, Romania, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, all those countries and stuff. He was a helicopter pilot. So his awards, he's a combat veteran. If you look, he has the 82nd Airborne. I got my mouse down. He got the 82nd Airborne. He's got a combat action badge. He's airborne, air assault, what we call, he was a double badger. He's done a lot in the Army, right? But he's got 2 Bronze Stars, a Senior Army Aviation badge, combat action badge, which means he just saw combat. He's got the airborne badge, air assault badge. He's got the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Air Medal with Valor. All right? That means he had to earn that in combat. The Joint Service Commendation Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Joint Service Achievement Medal. And that's Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw. He was shaping the future leaders, the officers of the Army. And he was shot and killed in the process of that happening. Now, the caveat onto that, right, was that he he was an aviation guy, lieutenant colonel. If you saw on my podcast that I broadcasted yesterday, was a Harker Heights mayor candidate. His name is Scott Airy. He's a retired full bird colonel, and he did the same exact thing as Colonel Shaw. He flew, like he said in his interview, he flew Cobras and he flew Blackhawks. I don't know what kind of helicopters this colonel actually flew, but he flew helicopters. And my neighbor right next door to me, Mike Sharp, he was in Vietnam and he was in the Gulf War, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, as some people call it. But he flew Cobras and he flew Apaches. And he's got an Air Medal with Valor also. So, these guys stand out and they give their lives to these young men and make them the officers that they need to be for the future platoon sergeants to shape them after they finish their OBC and their commissioning, stuff like that. But we lost a dynamite officer in the Army. Remember his family. Okay, another combat veteran gone before he needed to leave. All right, so I'm just gonna read a little bit about him. All right, before we carry on, the instructor or professor, because he's a military science professor. The professor who was fatally shot by convicted ISIS terrorist was a decorated chair of the Old Dominion University Military Science Department who served several tours in the Middle East. Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw was in the middle of teaching an ROTC course at ODU Thursday morning when the terrorist stormed inside the classroom and opened fire. Shaw completed several tours of duty with the Army since he enlisted in 2003, including a deployment to support Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, and a rotation Atlantic Resolve, according to his university biography. If you look at the picture of him in his dress uniform, there chances are he had between 5 and 7 combat tours between Iraq and Afghanistan, because he had 2 campaign stars on his Iraqi service medal, and he had 4 on his Afghan service medal. You could be in a deployment and it spans 2 different campaigns. You just don't get a campaign star for every time you deploy. You got different phases. Like I was in Afghanistan during the Afghan surge, and I was in Iraq during Iraqi surge. So that means I would have 1 bronze star on my Iraqi medal and 1 bronze star on my Afghan medal. And then when I was in the first Gulf War, I was in the U.S. Army ceasefire campaign, which lasted from 1991 to 1995, and I was there from 91 through 92, but I only get 1 campaign star out of that. All right, just to give you a little military history. Okay, if you know, you know. All right. So he's heavily decorated. He was a heavily decorated officer. I wish I would have got his dress uniform instead of his multicams. But the most important thing on there, well, everything's important on his uniform. But you got that 82nd Airborne patch on. Let's see. Is there anything else? Shaw was a proud alumnus of ODU, the University of Georgia, and the University of Kansas. According to his bio, he collected more than 17 awards linked to his storied military career, including the Air Medal for Valor and 3 Army Commendation Medals. Shaw additionally recorded more than 1,200 hours flying 3 different airships on top of 600 combat flight hours, according to his university profile. Jason Fetish, one of Shaw's former ROTC colleagues, tearfully described the veteran as a charmer, an all around stud. That's not my word. That's his friend's word. Fetish hope that ODU shooting was a tragic incident, and that I could mourn until he started receiving messages about Shaw's death. You build such a good brother and sister in the military, and you can tell just by interacting with some individuals that they're going to be somebody. That is exactly true. They're going to do some things that are great and our fellow man in our country and around the world. And Brandon was exactly that. A fetish managed to say that as he choked up. And there I go too. I've lost too many friends in combat, uh, so just keep him and his family in your prayers. I'm looking to see if there's anything else to update on him, because I don't want to talk about that terrorist again. Let's see. Nope, nothing else more. So I'm gonna go back over real quick so y'all can see him one more time as I'm resetting real quick here. All right, let's do this. And some more bad news happened last night. Um, Over the western part of Iraq, two KC-135s had a midair incident about, I guess, 30,000 feet up, and 6 U.S. service members lost their lives. One of the KC-135s made it and landed, and the other crashed. You may be, well, let me read this first. This is from CENTCOM, okay? United States Central Command. I'll show you. It was just put out. All right. All six crew members aboard a U.S. KC-135 fueling aircraft that went down in western Iraq are now confirmed deceased. The aircraft was lost while flying over friendly airspace March 12th during Operation Epic Fury. The circumstances are under investigation. However, the loss of aircraft was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire, and the identities of the service members are being withheld until 24 hours after the next of kin have been identified. Um, okay, really quick, let's just give a moment of silence for these 6 military members and Lieutenant Colonel Shaw, okay? Just for a minute. All righty. All right. So, with that being said, so a KC-135 is a refueler. It's like uh, it's a big Valero gas station or an Exxon gas station, and they fly them really at high altitude. Like this one was probably between 20 and 30,000 feet, because you want to be out of range of everything air defense related, so no one can take pop shots and knock down these aircraft. They are Boeing 707 aircraft. They're like a huge sponge that they put fuel in, and what it does is it eliminates the need. Um, it eliminates the need. Oh yeah, hey, that's why I don't see them. Hey, Rich, you're on YouTube right now. If you want to communicate with the rest of us on Rumble, you got to go through Rumble. All right. Uh, that's a cool thing about being on Rumble. Yes. So the Army, I mean, not the Army, the Air Force has lots of KC-135s. These aircraft are upwards to about 60 years old, and they're being steadily phased out by KC. I think they're KC-63 Pegasus refuelers. Uh, if Rob is still on the line, he wants to do me a quick search for that. What is the new fueler in the Air Force called? But yeah, so they fly these things about 20 to 30,000 square feet, 30,000 feet up, that stay out of the range of any existing air defense so they can't be shot down. And the purpose of the refuelers, like I said, they're big Valero gas stations, and it eliminates the need for aircraft bombers or fighters to RTB to refuel. RTB means return to base, and it extends their combat time over a potential combat zone, right? I have no idea why two of them were in the vicinity of each other or what happened. I am sure soon that they will tell us what happened and caused these two aircraft to, I guess they tipped wings or something like that. But one went down and the other landed safely. All right. And it's unfortunate. And I'm pretty sure it's a good bet that they're all Air Force, right? And they're operated also in the Air Force Reserve, Air National Guard, and the Active Air Force. And they do use them in the Navy, and they do use them in the Marine Corps also. All right? And here's a fun news story. And we are going to have a premium. I'm going to talk a little bit about the SAVE Act, okay? Marine veteran Joey Jones went to the aid of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth yesterday because a bunch of Democrats are ripping, what's his name, Pete Hegseth on the fact that he used $15 million of excess budgetary money that had to be spent on steak and lobster for soldiers, for military service members. And it was a wasteful use of money. And I gave a story yesterday afternoon before I saw this one, was that we used to have steak and surf and turf, steak and shrimp mainly, in our mess halls every Friday. Everyone knew that almost on every single Friday, either once a month or every Friday, we got to eat steak and shrimp. That's stateside and downrange, right? If you were in the village, because when I was in Iraq, we when we left Fob Loyalty and got stationed up at what they call War Eagle, which is when I got there, it was called Fob Hope. We had a mobile kitchen trailer. It's called MKT, right? And we couldn't cook stuff like that up there, and there was no way. The Iraqi insurgents cut off our water supply for non-potable water, so we had to have water all flown in. We had used generator support for all electricity. We couldn't have any outside electricity. I mean, and then we were barricaded on posts, and they used to mortar us all the time. And we were stuck with what they call Jimmy Deans and MREs. That's all we had. We couldn't even have eggs for breakfast, right? Except for when on my mid team, me and Master Sergeant Jimmy Johnson, we would go out the gate, go over to see our Iraqi counterparts, and they had a what they call an Iraqi general store, like a Cracker Barrel, not even close to being that size. But you can go in and get a soma bread and eggs and stuff, and make yourself like breakfast tacos and stuff. We really shouldn't have been eating it because it could have been contaminated food, but it was good. It was better than eating what do you call a Jimmy Dean, right? And especially an MRE, all right? So all y'all non-veterans out there, believe me, thank a veteran when you see them, because we know what it feels like to eat some food that you really wish you had steak and shrimp with, right? So you treasured every time you got to eat steak and shrimp or steak and lobster. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is facing criticism from some Democratic lawmakers after the Pentagon's spending of steak and lobster was reported. Retired Marine and Fox News co-host Joey Jones sent a message for the woke critics attacking the military's food budget. An analyst at the Department of War spending from government An analyst of Department of War spending from government watchdog opened the books, found out in September 2025, which was 6 months ago, the agency spent $6.9 million on lobster and over $15 million on ribeye steaks. Jones, who lost his legs while fighting for the United States, defended the spending, saying rare nights when service members served surf and turf to help lift morale during deployments. He said, "Are you serious? The only thing about home, that's the only thing that makes you feel special for the entire time you've been watchdog watching your buddies die. And you're mad about that," Joey Jones said on X on Thursday. The KC-10 airframe is the DC-10, right? Okay, so we are like speeding out of time. All right, so before I finish this off, I'm going to caveat onto that too. I was just telling you about how we used to have steak and shrimp on Friday nights, and while we're deployed, and like Rob, he's going to be upset because he hardly ever got it when he was in the Army, mainly during the Vietnam era and stuff. But that being said, here in Copper's Cove, we have a committee, part of our Chamber of Commerce, called Military Affairs Committee, right? And Rob knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's a group of retired military that are on a committee, and what they do is once a quarter, they invite soldiers. Sometimes they're enlisted soldiers, sometimes they're senior enlisted and officers, and they invite them over to our Coppers Cove Civic Center, and believe it or not, steak, potatoes, salad, and dessert, free of charge, out of our pockets. We're providing a home-cooked meal for those officers, senior NCOs, and junior NCOs and soldiers. Once a quarter, we do that for them. And so they can associate with us, retired military and civilians, get a taste of what it feels like to be in a small town USA, and relax a little bit without having to eat in a mess hall, right? Or having to go to TRH or Outback and spend like $70 or $80 on a steak dinner. We provide it for them, right? Steak and shrimp, or steak and potatoes and stuff like that. We do that for those people with our military affairs committee here in Coppers Cove. So it resonates to the tradition of us doing that in the military. And it doesn't matter what branch of the military, we all do it. And it just happens to be use or lose when it comes to spending on a budget. And they probably saw that $20 million or $22 million that it's got to go. And Pete Hegseth, being a former major in the Army, probably thought, you know what? When I was a junior company grade officer, my soldiers loved steak and shrimp or steak and lobster. Let's get some for them. That's probably what went through his mind. And you know what? I have no problem with that one bit. Okay, so meanwhile, back at the ranch. And if you're watching this, please click that follow button to be a follower. Don't be a follower, but be a part of the JP8 report, and give us a like, and then chat. Talk to Rich if he's on with us now, or Rob. Okay. One thing I need to do, and I forgot all about it, is I need to do an ad read real quick. Let's do this one. I'm going to talk about Rumble Wallet. All right. All right, give me a minute here. All right, so they can cancel your accounts, they can freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you can control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, like me, you can use Rumble Wallet app and directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. That this isn't a credit line that they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. And when the system fails and institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics, it's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. And thank you for letting me read that. And I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have read that unless I actually used Rumble Wallet. I have it. It's on my phone. It's on my computer. I got it. All right. So welcome. You'll see a little thing called tip. Use it at will. All right. So let's finish this up um, about Joey. Okay. He said, continue on. I guarantee you, none of them said a word about Biden surrendering in Afghanistan, killed 13 of us, or when the whole DOD spent tens of millions of dollars on going woke. He's absolutely correct. I saw that on an exit he did, and I remember this now. Jones recalled the moment that he heard he and his unit were being served steak and lobster. The only time it happened during his service in the middle of a rough, a really tough summer in Afghanistan. Same thing happened to me in what do you call it, in Iraq, and even if in Afghanistan was pretty calm when I was there, but in Iraq definitely. I told y'all yesterday about we were on a barrier security mission on Thanksgiving Day, and we came within 30 minutes of not being able to have Thanksgiving dinner. But we rushed back, and we were able to safely get back, and we ate with 30 minutes to spare, and it was good. All right. I wish I would have put some pictures up there about it. I didn't. Uh, his his friend told him that they were. He said his friend told him they'd be out all day, and he was like, "Man, I just hope I'd get a decent MRE." Then somebody comes down around the corner like, "Hey guys, it's steak and lobster night. It's surf and turf," Jones said. After that day, he said, for weeks they talked about steak and lobster night. It's the one thing I've ever. It's the only one thing ever gotten overseas. You know what? That's true. You when you're downrange, you remember a lot of times. You remember the cool things because you don't want to harbor over the stuff that affected you for decades from then. You remember that really cool stuff, like I was telling you, that Thanksgiving dinner, that was awesome. And let's put it like this. I'll put it in that context right there. So we got back just in time for that Thanksgiving meal, right? And you know what happens right after Thanksgiving? Christmas, right? Well, we didn't know that RXO, Major Jeffrey Amos, he retired as a lieutenant colonel, but he his wife and him put our unit names in for some care packages. Would you believe that we got like care packages from places like Best Buy and Circuit City and all kinds of stuff? And we had electronics all over the place. They just gave them to us. I mean, to help us out, like flash drives, so we could make videos and MP3 players that they had back then. Uh, that was really awesome stuff, and people did not have to do that. And they did it on their own free will to keep our morale up, right? Just to keep our morale up, and that was really cool. All right, so we're at 12:56. So let's see what else I want to talk about really quick before we go in. We don't need to talk about that, but we are going to go do a premium in just a few minutes, right? Inflation held steady. I think I mentioned that at one point. Yeah, inflation held steady at like 2.4% before year over end. And on this one, the top court as okay. So a federal appeals court on Wednesday granted the Trump administration's request to pause a lower court order that blocked it from deporting illegal aliens. There we go with illegal immigrants again, right? To so-called third countries, granting a near-term reprieve to the administration just hours before the lower court order was slated to take effect. And this was through the first U.S. Court of Appeals, which is just as liberal as the one on the West Coast. That would be the ninth. The Trump administration lawyers had appealed the ruling to the First Circuit Court, and it was a 2-1 ruling, and they said they're expecting it to be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. All right? And then, man, I'm just losing track of time here, man. Okay. And then the Trump administration is urging the Supreme Court to allow to terminate the protected legal status of hundreds of thousands of Haitians living in the U.S. And then, and also I heard that March 17th, they're going to terminate the temporary protected status of Somalis in the United States also. All right. So we got the Haitians were granted TPS in 2010 under the Obama administration. These guys had temporary protected status for 15 years. 15 years. So what's temporary about 15 years? Or 16 years now? And that was, wow. Okay. Haitians were first granted TPS status in 2010 after the devastating earthquake that killed more than 200,000 people and left some 1.5 million people homeless. It's been extended several times, including under the Biden administration of 2021. So how long does something temporary is supposed to remain temporary? And then a whole bunch of them came over illegally, and if they were so distraught and so poor of everything, how did these Haitians get from Haiti to Mexico, and then from Mexico to the Rio Grande River, and then cross over by Laredo? Having cell phones with them. Really? How does someone have a cell phone service and afford that coverage in another country? I mean, something's up about that. We need to reform, and a buddy of mine said it, we have to reform our immigration laws in our country. Matter of fact, there's a congressman that is proposing that we overturn the Immigration and Aliens Act of 1965 and redo it. And that would have to be done bipartisan. But no amnesty. No amnesty at all. If you come here illegally, you go back. All right. So what are we looking at? It's 1 p.m. already. Let's see. Two quick things that I don't have paperwork for. James Clyburn, Congressman, Democrat. He's responsible for Joe Biden, President Autopin, being elected in 2020. Uh, he's 85 years old, and he's announced that he is actually running for an 18th term of Congress because they actually have nobody better and younger than him that actually running Congress, or he's scared him half to death. And then Artemis 2 has been designated to be able to launch about the 1st of April, and then a moonshot by 2028. All right. So there's articles in the Texas scorecard that need to be read. I don't have them here with me because I knew I was going to run out of time. It's already 1 after 1, so I need to switch over to premium, and I'm going to go over the Save Act. All right, just a little bit on this, and then I will see y'all on Monday morning, and by then we should have the names of the servicemen that died in the KC-135 crash. All right. So try to have a good weekend. I got some friends. Rob, my buddy Rob, that's on there right now. Him and his wife are coming over. We're having stuffed salmon for dinner tonight. It's Lent. They eat fish. We're going to treat them to salmon. All right. So I hope y'all have a good weekend, and I will catch y'all on the flip side if you're not premium. And y'all have a great one and stay safe. As some of my buddies say, stay strapped, okay? But no, stay safe. So I'm going to transition over to premium. Here we go. Update stream.